Anybody have anything to share with them at all? But first of all, I want to thank you all for coming and spending this day with my beautiful daughter Allison and my new son Dan. It's been a beautiful day, and I can't think of a better way to celebrate it. And so I actually did write some things down. I gotta get my glasses out. So, hang on there. You didn't think I wrote anything. So, again, I'd like to thank you all for coming. This wouldn't have been able to go about without my beautiful wife Diane taking care of everything. And again, thanks for friends and family for coming. I'd like to talk about a couple people that weren't able to be here today, but I know that would have loved to. My brother passed this last summer. He would have loved this party. And your two grands. Yeah. My mom, Grandma Danes, and Grandma Preckle. And they were very, very close to Allison. My mom couldn't see 2 or 3 inches in front of her face, but she would always take Allison and look like this and say how beautiful she was. And she'd be right today. Very beautiful. All right, Dan. As a father and mom, we can only want the best for our children. And you are that for Allison. We started to see some change in Allison about a year ago. Allison hardly ever on her phone, but so all of a sudden she's on her phone, she's texting, she's laughing. What's going on, Allison? Nothing. So I asked Diane, they're very close. I said, okay, is there something I don't know? Is Allison seeing somebody? Not that I know, but she's different. So then I called Kelsey. Kelsey, is your sister seeing anybody? Not that I know, but she's acting different. And then I talked to my son, and Ryan says, well, not that I know of, but we're going for lunch. Well, anyway, we finally met Dan. It was in February, and they were kind of keeping on the down low a little bit. And it was kind of funny, but they were going to meet Diane's sister and her husband and their nephews have a little cabin over by Castle Rock. And they were going to meet there and hang out, go hiking, whatever you do. And she called her Aunt Karen. Want to know if anybody's going to be around the cabin. Well, Aunt Karen said no. And Allison said, well, me and some of my girlfriends from college would like to go up. And Aunt Karen said, what boy are you taking there? She knew. Well, that's kind of funny because Brandon, I think it was Brandon, got a text message from the neighbor of the cabin. It says, hey, who's at there's some people at your cabin, there's a couple cars there. Brandon said, yeah, it's my cousin, Allison. She's with some girlfriends from college. Well, Allison and Dan didn't know they had trail cams there. Brandon's buddy gets a picture, sends it to Brandon, and Brandon says, huh, that's not a college girlfriend. So, busted. Dan kind of came up to me, and it was end of April, says, Vernon has said, I'd like to meet for a beer later today. And I said, oh boy. I was born at night, but it wasn't last night. So we end up, he goes, well, meet you at Schmitty's, a little bar, not far from our house in La Crosse here. And I said, okay, pick a time. We got there in the middle of the afternoon. I know, my friends are going to find this hard to believe, but I knew about 10, 15 people in this bar. And they all wanted to talk, and they wanted to meet Dan, and I knew Dan wanted to talk, and whatever he wanted to talk about. So we sat and talked, and we finally got away from my friends, and we're sitting over at the bar having a beer, and they were watching the Brewers. And then some guy out of the blue starts talking to Dan about baseball. So Dan still doesn't have a chance to talk, and Dan, being a college pitcher at Winona State, he's being nice to the guy and talking. And so finally we got to talk, and Dan said, I really, really, love your daughter. Want to know if we have your blessing, if we want to take this to the next level. I said, yes, Dan, you do. I said, I've seen the change in Allison. She's head over heels in love with you. And Dan said, well, it's not going to be for a while probably, but I just want to make sure we have your blessing when we decide. Well, I never knew really what a while was. You always talk about, going to see you in a while, come on over, be there in a while. When it comes to engagement, it's 6 days. He talked to me on Sunday. Allison goes to Shaw that weekend and comes back on Sunday, and they're engaged. So I do now know what a while is. So Dan, this is my advice to you. There's cameras everywhere, and I have friends everywhere. Remember that. And the other thing about Dan was he's changing professions now, but he's going to be a teacher. He was a teacher, he's going into being an accountant now. And I thought, wow, how can a girl go wrong marrying a teacher? Isn't that right, Diane? That's, so I figured, that's a real good thing. So, all right, Allison. I just want everybody to know that I went to the doctor a couple weeks ago, and I got this allergy that when I get in front of people, my eyes might water a little bit. And so I just want you to know that that's what's happening. So I'll be okay. Allison, as her friends know, that she's very, very organized, has things set. She's very, very good at what she does. Except when she was going to be born, and then she came 6 weeks early. And we don't even have a house. So we sold our house unexpectedly, so we're living with Diane's mother at the time. And so she comes 6 weeks early, and after 14 days in the ICU, we take her home all 3 pounds and 14 ounces of her. We didn't even have a crib, so she slept in a bassinet for a while, but she would have slept in a shoebox. That's how we put her actually in a shoebox. And this wedding ring that I wear on my little finger, because my other fingers are too fat to wear it, would fit on her wrist. And so now she has her own beautiful wedding ring to wear. I've always told both my daughters, whenever they were getting ready for dances and they're trying on dresses and didn't know about what they should wear and how it would look, I always told them, I said, girls, you look good in a gunny sack. And Allison, that is one heck of a gunny sack you're wearing today. Very beautiful. Allison, you were ready first for me in a lot of ways. Here comes those allergies. You were the first to call me Dad. You're the first that I believe I ever changed a diaper on. Going on walks, learning to ride a bike, telling bedtime stories, pushing on a swing. Not sure that I got to do it. As you know, Allison, a lot of you know Allison's a pretty good runner in high school. And it was her last track conference meet, and she'd never lost a conference meet race. Ooh, I dropped some notes. And so she comes up to me, and she'd won the first 2 races that day. It was at Alaska Lutheran, and she says, Dad, I don't know if I have it. I need some words of wisdom. I need some encouragement. What do you have for me, Dad? I'm thinking, what? As you can see, what do I know about long distance running, right? So I know that some of her coaches here, Hebner, Nelson, Max, why didn't she go to you guys? I have no idea. But she comes to me for words of wisdom. And I look at her, and I reach down into my pocket to find whatever I can find, words of wisdom. I take her by her shoulders, and I look her in the eye, and I said, run. And she looks at me and goes, that's all you have? I said, yep, and that's all you need. Run. Allison was always very, very particular. So you're a lucky man, Dan. Okay? She was always very particular. And I know her first grade teacher is here, Mrs. Hogan, and she can probably attest to this. But Allison was the person in first grade that if she colored outside the lines, it was like the end of the day. And she would cradle up the paper and throw it away and get another color sheet. So Dan, you must have made it inside the lines because you've been crumpled up and thrown away. In some of the speeches today and some of the words, they're talking about one. I couldn't believe that some of the things I had already written down, I did do this before I heard the ceremony today. Until today, you guys, you were one. You were one each individual. But today, you are one together. Be there for each other. Marriage is give and take. Equal grounds. As I have watched you interact with each other, I know that you're going to have a very, very happy and healthy life. And I have a few wishes for you. Dan and Allison, my wish for both of you is your worries stay small, your dreams stay big. Always know you have someone that loves you. And may all your dreams come true. So if you would join me and raise your glass to this very special couple, Allison and Dan. I love you very much.